Hey guys, Dolphin Oracle back again. Yes, back on the MX16 desktop. This is running live. I've installed Simple Screen Recorder and the screen capture utilities. You can see me, but otherwise it is the USB I created in the last video from the January snapshot. The snapshot, okay, just the regular ISO rolled up with all the updates since release. So I don't have to go through the whole update thing. You'll see Update Manager down here is telling me I have no updates. That'll eventually change because there are a couple in there. It takes about a half hour for it to show up, for updates to show up. But the bulk of them are here, including the big update from Debian 8.7 rolling out. So, right now, I am going to start the process of moving my data from my old computer to the new. Now, what I did when I recycled the old HP, I took out the hard drive from that computer. I think these drives are actually the same size. I think they're both 320 gig hard drives. However, I don't want to flash the Windows that's on this disk to the new one, or I just could. That never works. I'm going from one hardware to another. It's just disaster. It probably wouldn't be so bad with MX actually, and with a Linux distribution, but with Windows, it is a recipe for disaster. So I'm just going to take the data off this one, but that means I need to partition this drive, the drive that's in my laptop, in a similar way. Now, once I have the partitions done, I'm going to use this guy. It's an Anchor hard drive docking station. It supports both USB 2, 3, and eSATA connections. I actually used the eSATA connection for my dad's laptop from a couple of videos ago when I was swapping the SSDs. So this is a really handy device. It's high quality. It's heavy. That's one reason I went with the Anchor. It was well reviewed. It's got some weight to it. Feels like something you want to use. If you guys know what I'm talking about with cheap parts, you know what I mean when you say something feels like you want to use it. It's substantial. Anyway, and it wasn't that expensive. I think it was, I don't know. I got it pretty cheap, $30, $35. Okay, so I need to partition the drive. So I'm going to use gparted. Hopefully I'm going to use gparted. This is the I put in the wrong password because this is still live. So root's the live password. And this is going to give me a picture. Now, to keep from having to screw up the drive, I'm actually recording to a USB, so this might get a little stuttery a little bit here. Now you can see we have an EFI system partition, we have a Microsoft Reserve partition, and we have a couple of basic data partitions. Now, what I found out on a recovery partition, Lenovo recovery partition. Now, what I found out, I tried to boot this system UEFI with Windows, and what I found out is the guy that did this, he took a Windows 8 installation and he rolled it back to Windows 7. Windows 7 tried to boot on the UEFI, but it wouldn't. So right now I'm still booting this system legacy. The UEFI support is in here, but to keep my operating systems in bliss and harmony, I'm going to try to keep the peace between them. Everything's going to be boot legacy, just like my old HP. So I need to resize this drive right here is what I need to do. So I'm going to click resize. Now this is the main Windows Everything drive. I'm going to give it 100 gigabytes. Let's see, new size. Let's see, 100 gigabytes would be, well, it'd be a large number. Taking out the trusty TI calculator. 1024. 102400. And that looks about right. So resize. Okay. And now this is a GPT formatted disk. So I don't have to have an extended partition. I can have as many primary partitions as I want. So I'm going to create a new primary partition for MX. And it's going to be not near as large, and you'll see why, because I store my data on a separate partition. So traditionally, I've only used about a 20 gigabyte partition for my operating system. I'm going to go a little larger this time, just because I've been installing some video games, and they do take up a little bit of room. So 1024. That would be, I'm going to make a 30 gig partition, 3720. Yes. And I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna call that MX16. Give it a label. And then this is going to be my data partition. A new data partition. Format as a primary partition. I'm going to format it in TFS because I need my Windows. I need Windows to be able to use this partition. And I'm going to call that data part. And I'm just going to take the rest of it for that. I may divide it up into one more test partition later for a test operating system. But for now, I'm just going to do that. That's nice and simple. And let's see what happens. I'm going to click the button, and hopefully it'll apply all the operations. Good luck. Okay, guys, I'm back. It looks like all operations completed successfully. We shrank the partition. We created 2 new partitions. So it's going to rescan the drive now. And hopefully they all look like they're supposed to look. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous about the NTFS partition. When I did this on the HP, I used Windows to format the partition. So we'll see how it works. We're going to give it a go. But let's see, yeah, SDA5 is MX16, SDA6 is data part, and all this junk is still there. I'm going to hope to high heaven the Lenovo recovery thing still works, but it's all here. So I am okay now to run the installer. Okay, so here's the installer. I'm going to go through and we'll choose my stuff. That is the disk I want to choose. Now notice that one of my USB drives shows up here. If you have more than one drive, it'll be here, but the live media won't because we don't support installing back onto itself. That can be a controversial choice because you can actually boot ISO from the hard drive, but that's like 0.1% of the people are going to install that way. But at any rate, I digress. Moving on, I've already run the partition, the G part ahead of time. You can run it from the tool if you want to. I'm going to custom install. Now, I could use auto install, except that'll wipe the entire drive, and I don't want to do that because I'm dual booting. So if you're dual booting, you want to use the custom install. Also, if you're doing a UEFI install, the auto installer will not work. It fails to create. It doesn't fail to create. It doesn't know to create the special EFI partition. That'll be added later on. The installer really hasn't been updated except cosmetically from MX15. So just keep that in mind. If you're booting UEFI, and you can tell on the main boot screen of the live media because it'll look more like text menus rather than all the cool little function key menus that you see at the bottom. It'll be like it'll be a different screen. Anyway, so I'm going to custom install. Let's see. You know what I didn't do? I didn't create a swap partition. So I am actually going to go back and I'm going to run the partition tool again and make a swap partition. I forgot. The auto installer will make one for you, but again, I don't want to auto install. I want to do the custom install. So I'm going to take the data partition here and I'm going to shrink it. Let's see here. I've got 8 gigs, so 8 gigs of RAM, so blah, blah, so 8 times. I'm going to make an 8 gig swap partition. There we go, resize, and then make a new partition here, and this one's going to be Linux swap. There. Okay, and this should be relatively quickly because the partitions are empty. Can't believe I forgot to make. Can't believe I forgot to make the swap partition. Been running live so long, I typically don't make swap partitions when I run live. So I've been running live USB for like the last 2 weeks because my hard drive's been in the shop. So okay, so that's done. So now we've got the swap partition, Linux swap. It's going to rescan the drive here real quick. And yes, we should be good to go. So there we are. All right, so next, and then swap. We're going to use none or existing because it's already existing. Okay, and then I do not want to use that partition. I want to use the MX16 partition. So that's where it's nice to give it a label, the partition you want to use, because the labels do show up in this installer tool. All right, so there, preserve data as home, no, because I'm not going to do that. Change root label, default root label, no. I like the root label the way it is. Root, and ext4 file system is fine. Okay, so off it goes. We're off to the races. This usually takes around 10 minutes or so, give or take. I'm using a USB 2.0 port instead of in drive, so it might take a little, probably closer to the full 10-minute mark. I'm going to pause again and be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and oddly this system's quite a bit faster than my old system. I've gotten to 95% in about 3 minutes, so that was a lot faster than I expected. We'll go ahead and let it finish off its copying here, and it should take us to the Grub installation screen. Alright, so here we are, Grub installation. Now you can see I can install it to the MBR to the root. ESP is not going to work unless you've booted a UEFI, so I'm not going to bother. I'm going to do the MBR. System boot disk, that's the one I want. You can choose not to install Grub if you have another bootloader or another Linux bootloader running the show. But I don't, so I'm going to do it this way, the default way. Yes. Now this is going to take a minute because it scans all the drives. Now I only have one other operating system on this drive, so it shouldn't take too awful long. It also has to do this for each kernel that's installed, which on the 64-bit media there's only one, but on the 32-bit media there's two. So Grub installation actually takes slightly longer on the 32-bit media versus the 64-bit media. Actually, not slightly longer. It takes almost twice as long. So, you know, if you're installing 32-bit, you know, don't quit. All right, there we go. Computer name, I'm usually give my main system a name like this, Little Byte. And my home work group is actually home, so I'm going to do that. Keyboard, now it's easier to set the keyboard stuff from the live media when you boot the live media. Check out my live USB videos. You'll see there's menus to set your keyboard in locale before you ever boot the operating system, and this is the easiest way to do it because, well, for one thing, your keyboard will work while you're doing the installation the way you expect. Okay, so anyway, end of diatribe 4722. We're a live distribution. Set everything up live before you install. Done. Okay, so system local, yes, that is actually correct for me because I have the Windows. Now on my old computer, I just ignored it and let the clock get screwed up all the time. But now the installer detects that I might want to use local time because I have Windows installed. Fine, I'm in the right time zone. I'm going to leave all the services enabled because this system actually has Bluetooth, supposedly. So hopefully that'll get to work. Hit next. And your usernames and such. So, and if you need to double check your passwords, you can do that. I'm going to set mine to auto login, and if you make any changes to your desktop while you're running live, checking this box will do it. So if you set a new wallpaper, or I don't know, put icons on your desktop or something, it will save those changes. I haven't made any, so I'm not going to worry about it. Click next. Now the cool part is, I told you that I installed GovCView for the little camera widget here, and Simple Screen Recorder. Those got carried over into the installation. They'll be on the installed system. So I don't have to install those again. They'll be there. Support MX Linux, blah, blah. It's done. Do you want to reboot? No, because I'm recording, but you might want to later. So that is how you install MX Linux, including partitioning the hard drive. For tips, tricks, how-tos, head over to mxlinux.org or throw up a post at forum.mxlinux.org. This is Dolphin Oracle signing off. Have a great day.